You can cross oceans, change your name, buy 1,000 new beginnings, but if your body keeps repeating old vibrations, you are not truly free. This is the first veil, the ancient illusion, and tonight, whether in waking or in sleep listening, you are invited to let it slip from your shoulders like a garment that never belonged to you. In this moment, breathe and feel a silent architecture humming beneath your skin. This is not imagination. It is remembrance, a living code that has traveled across lifetimes, generations, even civilizations, whispering in the language of sensation and posture. The teachings of Thoth, woven through the scrolls of Hermetic wisdom, speak not only of cosmic laws, but of a reality pulsing quietly within your bones. The Kybalion reminds us, as above so below, as within so without. Yet how easily this wisdom becomes an idea rather than a lived presence. Consider every thought, every inherited fear, every family hope is not just a story, but a frequency. It is a vibrational signature imprinted on the body's living architecture. Epigenetics, the science of how experience writes itself upon DNA, confirms what the mystics have long intuited. Trauma is not only remembered, but reenacted not only in mind, but in the sacred geometry of muscle and bone. Beneath words, there is always a resonance, a subtle frequency, a code that shapes the contours of your presence. Hannah felt it first as a heaviness behind her eyes, a tension in the jaw, a tremor at the base of her spine that no amount of talk or understanding could soothe. "It's as if my body knows something I do not," she whispered. The wisdom of Thoth tells us liberation begins not with escape, but with the quiet recognition of what is already here, what the body carries as both curse and key. Let us attune to this awareness now. Become the observer, the quantum witness. Breathe into your present moment temple and sense what are the hidden codes vibrating in your sacrum, jaw, and diaphragm. These are the living portals, the silent vaults where generations have stored not only fear, but also the keys to release. Science nods in affirmation. Neurocardiology shows the heart's field shapes brainwaves. Somatic psychology reveals how the diaphragm, jaw, and pelvis become conduits for unspoken memory. But before science, there was only presence, the sacred act of feeling, listening, inhabiting the body as both instrument and sanctuary. In this field, you are not a passive recipient of history, but a conscious alchemist capable of transmuting ancestral resonance into sovereign presence. Begin with a simple noticing. Feel your breath ripple through the body. Where does it meet resistance? Where is there warmth or tingling or numbness? The journey of vibrational freedom does not begin by forcing change, but by honoring the silent song already singing through your cells. You are invited to rest in this knowing. Every sensation is a portal, every ache an encrypted message, every tension an invitation to awaken the ancient code within. Hannah's story is our story. She found over months of gentle listening that her greatest freedom did not come from changing the world around her, but from awakening to the living frequencies within her. As you listen, what frequencies do you inherit? What is yearning to be released through your own sacred architecture? Pause. Inhale softly. The journey begins, not with answers, but with presence. The subtle, silent recognition that you are the observer and the observed, the architect and the living temple. What ancient code are you ready to remember? Imagine now beneath your spine a chamber of secrets, the sacrum, the body's ancient root, and the first harmonic portal. Here in this triangular bone, memories of survival, belonging, and inherited fear coil like ancestral vines. To the mystics of Egypt, to the Hermetic scribes, the sacrum was more than a bone. It was a temple threshold, the hinge upon which presence and absence swing. Modern science, too, is learning to listen. Studies show how the pelvis stores unresolved trauma, how the nervous system, like a harp, resounds with frequencies of both the living and the long gone. Consider Hannah again, in a quiet room, lying on her back knees, bent feet gently planted on the earth. She closes her eyes, and her awareness floats to the base of her spine. There a subtle buzzing part anticipation awakens. This is not pain, she thinks, but the memory of waiting. The kybalion teaches that all is vibration, and all vibration can be transmuted. To heal is to become the conscious alchemist, sensing the subtle currents and choosing in each breath to invite a new harmony. Beneath the stories and identities, the sacrum holds the first living code, survival's echo, the ancestral signature of what was once necessary but now weighs heavy. Trauma, when unprocessed, crystallizes here as a harmonic misalignment, an old frequency looping until presence brings it to the light. Your sacrum is a living portal, not a prison. To awaken it is to reclaim the key to your own foundation. Let us explore this together, both in science and spirit. Somatic therapists note how micro movements in the pelvis, gentle rocking soft spirals, can release bound energy and restore the flow of life force. Quantum biology suggests that every cell vibrates with unique frequencies, and as you bring awareness, you invite coherence, order, and repair. The ancient Hermetists might say, as you move, so the cosmos moves with you. Begin now with a hidden movement, both simple and profound. Lying or seated, sense your sacrum as a weighted stone at the base of your spine. Inhale and allow a subtle tipping forward as if bowing inward, honoring what has been carried. Exhale and let the sacrum gently return, as if exhaling an old name, an old code. Repeat slowly, without effort, feeling the movement ripple up the spine, echoing forward into the heart. This is the first act of vibrational sovereignty to reclaim the sacrum as portal, not prison, as a living architecture encoded for freedom. Hannah, through months of quiet repetition, noticed a warmth unfurling in her lower back, a sense of softening as if ancient stones returning to water. With each movement, she whispered gratitude to the ones who came, before releasing their weight with loving presence. I feel lighter, she journaled, not because my history changed, but because I am no longer carrying it alone. Reflect now, with gentle eyes, what weight do you sense at your root? What is ready to be released through sacred movement and attention? The sacrum is not only yours, it is a library of the unspoken. To move it, to honor it, is to rewrite the story of your becoming. Breathe, feel, invite the vibrational law into your bones. In this practice, you become both architect and alchemist, opening the first portal, claiming the foundation of your soul's temple. What would it feel like to trust your own root, to rest in the living code of presence? The journey spirals upward, now drawing our awareness to the silent hinge of destiny, the jaw. Here in this subtle gate between speech and silence, we find the second hidden pillar, the jaw, as both transmitter and lock of ancestral resonance. If the sacrum holds the story of survival, the jaw cradles the unspoken, that withheld the harmonics of all words uttered or silenced by those before us. In the soft dusk of meditation, the jaw hums with frequencies both ancient and immediate, a living archive waiting to be heard. Hermetic wisdom tells us that the law of polarity rules all things. Every silence contains its own unsaid song. Every clench is a memory yearning to unfold. Quantum science, too, finds that microtensions in the face and jaw reflect the nervous system's readiness to fight, flee, or freeze a living code mapped by the ancient brain to keep us safe, but now often lingering long after the danger has passed. Neurointegration reveals that even the lightest tension in the jaw can ripple through the whole body, shaping posture, voice, even the architecture of thought. For Hannah, the jaw was the last stronghold. She could trace the habit to childhood jaw, tight during conflict, lips pressed when wanting to speak truth, a secret resolve to keep the peace. It was not only her voice that was trapped, but the voices of mothers and grandmothers before her, each silencing their own, knowing each encoding a frequency of suppression in the body's living architecture. In the soft lamplight of her evening ritual, Hannah learned to listen with new ears. She placed a palm gently beneath her jaw, feeling its weight, its warmth, its trembling anticipation. Breath by breath, she welcomed what had been frozen. The kybalion whispers. Rhythm compensates, and as the jaw relaxes, the river of expression finds its own tide. Let us enter this portal together, in both science and spirit. Somatic practitioners have mapped the craniofacial network, how the jaw, tongue, and throat form a vibrational highway to the limbic system. Releasing the jaw, even by a fraction, can shift brain waves from vigilance to harmony. HeartMath research reveals that coherent breathing paired with jaw relaxation enhances heart-brain communication, allowing old patterns to dissolve like mist in morning sun. Here is the second hidden movement. Allow your lips to part softly, the tip of the tongue resting behind the lower teeth. Inhale gently, and as you exhale, imagine a golden thread lengthening from ear to ear, the jaw descending with gravity's blessing, neither forced nor limp. Feel the subtle vibration, perhaps a quiver, a sigh, a song yet unborn. Stay here, present as long as the resonance calls you. In this act, you transmute the frequency of silence into the living code of presence. Over time, Hannah noticed her voice soften, her words flow with a new honesty, no longer trembling with inherited fear, but ringing with clarity. In releasing her jaw, she liberated not only herself, but the river of unspoken dreams echoing through her lineage. I can taste my own truth, she wrote, as if each word is a key, each sigh a homecoming. Reflect now. What songs linger behind your teeth? What ancestral words await their freedom? Your jaw is not merely bone and muscle, but a portal, an alchemical gate through which history becomes harmony, silence becomes song. Breathe, soften, listen. What vibration moves in your jaw at this moment? Let it reveal itself gentle, raw, and holy. In releasing the second pillar, you unlock the code of authentic expression, becoming the living voice of your own sacred line. Let the spiral rise again, floating on the invisible wings of breath to the sacred diaphragm, midway between earth and sky, cradling the heart's altar. Here, in the silent dome beneath the ribs, the third pillar of liberation waits the diaphragm master of life's rhythm guardian of vibrational sovereignty. In Hermetic alchemy, the diaphragm is the bridge, the living membrane where above meets below, where soul marries flesh, where presence becomes power. It is said that all true magic begins with the breath. He who controls the rhythm of his breathing, wrote, the Hermeticist controls the rhythm of his mind. Yet for so many, the diaphragm is frozen, a shield against pain, a keeper of breathless secrets, a silent agreement with fear. Modern science calls this the trauma diaphragm. Bessel van der Kolk and somatic pioneers teach that when the body's memory is too great, the breath becomes shallow, the heart enclosed, the temple dimmed. HeartMath studies reveal how each conscious breath restores heart coherence, unlocking states of calm, creativity, and compassion. Hannah discovered this third portal almost by accident. During a gentle breathwork session, she sensed a trembling at her solar plexus, a quiver both tender and fierce, like the flutter of a bird remembering how to fly. She realized she'd been living in shallow sips of air, her body's rhythm governed by an old code of anxiety. The diaphragm, she learned, was not only a muscle, but a gate. Each breath was an act of silent liberation, each exhale a rewriting of destiny's script. To awaken this pillar, the guidance is both scientific and mystical. Rest a hand on the center of your chest, another at the navel. Inhale slowly through the nose, allowing the lower hand to rise, feeling the belly and ribs expand like a sacred flower. Hold softly for a moment, sensing the space within. Then exhale in a gentle sigh, letting the body soften, the heart unclench. As you continue, imagine golden light spiraling with each breath, carrying the living code of renewal through every cell. This is not mere relaxation. It is vibrational alchemy, the reclaiming of the soul's temple. Quantum science reminds us observation creates reality. Your breath, consciously observed, is a portal to quantum possibility. Each wave of the diaphragm dissolves old frequencies, tunes. The nervous system rewrites the language of presence in the body's living architecture. The Hermetic principle of correspondence sings here. As within, so without, each breath reshaping both inner and outer worlds. Hannah, with each breath, found herself less afraid. Emotions that once crashed in storms began to rise and pass like clouds across a vast sky. Her chest felt open, her voice more resonant, her mind quietly spacious. She wrote, "I am breathing as myself for the first time. There is music in my chest, where once there was only echo. Pause with me now. Feel your own diaphragm, a living gate, a silent singer. What happens when you invite the breath to fill, soften, and renew you? What new reality might unfold if you claimed each inhale as your own, each exhale as a return home? The third pillar is yours, the diaphragm as bridge, as alchemist, as portal of vibrational sovereignty. Breathe. Allow presence to become power. In this temple, you are both witness and creator, the keeper and the liberator of your own soul's song. Now, as the three pillars are awakened, sacrum, jaw, diaphragm, a quiet golden architecture emerges within you. You have entered a space beyond mere technique, a place where hermetic wisdom and modern science harmonize in the living language of your own body. Here, the laws of Thoth no longer linger as distant philosophies. They become breath-bone, resonance, a vibrational sovereignty gently reclaimed from within. Let us gather the threads. The law of mentalism reminds us all is mind, and mind is the master weaver of reality's loom. Yet when the mind is shackled by inherited frequencies, true freedom remains just out of reach. The journey you have traveled through sacrum's deep-root jaws, silent gate, and diaphragm's bridge reveals that freedom is not a thought, but a frequency. Your reality is not simply chosen by will, but sung into being by the living codes you embody and express. Quantum metaphors swirl at the edge of your perception. With every breath, every movement, you collapse the wave of possibility into embodied presence. This is the observer effect, lived not as abstraction, but as the birthright of all souls. To choose new frequencies is to become the conscious architect of the soul's temple, to write a new ancestral signature into the silent blueprint of tomorrow. Consider Hannah, now transformed, standing at her window as dawn rises, a subtle smile upon her lips, her breath full and gentle, the base of her spine warm and at ease. She no longer strives to escape her story, nor to fight her inheritance. Instead, she tends to her vibrational garden day by day. Some mornings, old frequencies whisper, old tensions return, yet she meets them not with resistance, but with presence. Each hidden movement, sacrum's spiral jaws, softening diaphragm's renewal, is a silent invocation. I am the sovereign keeper of my inner code. The world may clamor for outward acts of independence, but the deepest liberty is inward, a steady resonance immune to circumstance beyond praise or blame. Hermetic law teaches that every polarity finds its complement. Every rhythm swings, every vibration seeks its true home. You become, through this practice, not just the child of your ancestors, but the architect of your line. The traumas that shaped you are not life sentences, but portals, doorways to new frequencies, new realities, new worlds within. Science, too, affirms the miracle. Epigenetics reveals how ancestral wounds can be unwound, how presence and gentle movement rewrite the very script of your cells. Heart math shows how coherent heart breath and mind create an electromagnetic field of healing, rippling beyond the skin to those you love, those you may never meet. The journey you have taken is both private and planetary, a ripple in the unseen architecture of all beings, waking up to their own silent liberation. Pause here at the threshold. You have learned to honor your sacrum as the foundation to free your jaw, as the gate of authentic expression, to awaken your diaphragm as the bridge to presence. Each pillar is both practical and mystical, a living architecture encoded for freedom. This is your invitation to walk the world not as a captive of inherited vibration, but as a sovereign architect, a bearer of new frequencies. Reflect now softly. What would it mean to hold your independence not as an outer act, but as an inner frequency? What silent codes are you ready to transmit simply by being fully here in your own sacred architecture? Breathe, rest. The final act is integration, allowing all you have reclaimed to ripple quietly into every moment, every cell, every breath. You are the living temple, the observer, the creator. As you move through life, remember your freedom is a vibration, and the world feels your resonance. In this gentle passage through sacred architecture, sacrum jaw diaphragm, you have traced the living map of your soul's silent liberation. Perhaps as you listened or read, you felt subtle echoes, ripples of warmth, a loosening in the jaw, a deeper breath returning to you like the tide. These are not small things. They are portals, living codes, quietly rewriting the ancient script that once kept you bound. Every micro movement, every conscious breath is an act of spiritual alchemy, blending the wisdom of Thoth with the clarity of science, anchoring vibrational sovereignty in your own embodied presence. You are not a prisoner of the past, nor merely the carrier of ancestral signatures. You are the architect of your reality, the observer whose loving attention dissolves old misalignments and calls forth new harmonies. The hidden movements you have learned, the spiral of the sacrum, the soft opening of the jaw, the expanding breath of the diaphragm are more than techniques. They are keys to the living temple invitations to return home. As you move forward, let this new frequency ripple through your days and nights. Share this vibration with someone who needs it in word and touch, or simply in the way your presence changes a room. Remember, true independence is not found in outer escape, but in the quiet resonance you now carry inside. To return home to your body is to reclaim your reality one breath, one movement, one loving presence at a time. Thank you for listening, for journeying, for remembering. If this touched you, share your story below, or send this vibration to someone seeking their own silent liberation. Together, let us become a constellation of awakened architects, each soul a living code, each presence a quiet revolution.